We talked about blueprints a little bit in the last slide, so let's go ahead and define what they are and what they're made up of. So a blueprint at the core provides the foundation for offering services, applications, or infrastructure that can be consumed through the self-service catalog. So blueprints can be defined globally, or they can be defined just under a certain organization or user type. Meaning, me as a system administrator, I can define templates that I want all my different user groups to be able to use. And then I can also allow administrators or certain user roles within an organization to create their own. So maybe they take my Windows template, add some applications, some backup agents, whatever, some config changes, and then they want to create a template out of that or a blueprint item so that they can consume that in the future. Well, it's very easy to do, and me as a system administrator, I can basically delegate that permission or that operation to those separate administrators who probably have better visibility and understanding to the types of blueprints that are specific to their organization. Now, what a blueprint is actually made up of? Well, it's applications, infrastructure, or services, and these are the specific items in a specific order, in a specific way that you want to deploy them. So consider an application like a web application. Well, you say web application, but that probably means there's a web server. Well, there's probably a database server behind it. There's a load balancer in there, and maybe there's a CMDB. Well, those are all running on different virtual machines, so you define that within the blueprint, and you tell it in what order they're created. So maybe the database machine always has to come before the web server. It's configured in a certain way. We kick off some scripts to make it up and running, and then we deploy the web server. That's the kind of logic and order that you put into a blueprint so that a user literally clicks on the request button under web application and all those things happen in the background, all that complex logic. You've defined it once and now you can consume it many times. So it's a really nice model for defining services like that. And remember, you can do applications or infrastructure services or even like Active Directory operations. So don't think of it as just being limited to deploying a virtual machine. It really can expand your options that way. And it also allows for external hooks or integrations to other systems and applications. This is done a lot through the IaaS components, which we'll talk about more, but you can hook into whether it's other physical servers, maybe an enterprise ticketing system, maybe an enterprise orchestration or provisioning platform. You can hook into those tools to either take information or push information to, allow it to run its own operations and integrate with those so we're not just dependent on logic or operations from VCAC, but really we can support any system within an enterprise. And finally, blueprints very often will translate to server templates within vCenter Server. Now, what this means is you can create a blueprint from scratch, right? You can define all the ISOs or all the different operating systems to install, but many times you've already done this within vCenter Server. You already have a template library with your Windows VMs and your Linux VMs pre-configured and snapped to a good place. Well, the nice thing about the vCenter Server integration is you can actually pull in those templates and create a blueprint out of them. So it saves you a lot of work, and you can literally create these blueprint items on the fly by leveraging those templates, and it's going to take you no time at all. So definitely use those to your advantage, as it'll save you a lot of time when you're initially building out the service catalog.